Welcome to Swarf and Chips. We've got a really busy show lined up today. We've got Will Stirling, who's talking with Lloyds Bank. Colin's out and about somewhere. This is what's coming up in today's show, and we're going to start by talking to David Dunn, who's the UK Accounts Manager for Tornos. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Okay, so I've got a challenge for you. Can you tell us about Tornos in just a couple of minutes, historically, and where Tornos is today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Tornos, people may not know, has been around for a long, long time now. They started manufacturing machines in one form or another back in the mid-19th century, about 1860. So there's a long history there of developing the kind of products that we've moved into today with a modern product. Righto,
okay. And what are you specialising in?
For us, it's really Swiss-type machines, multi-spindle machines, but we also do have vertical machine centres and bar milling machines within our range.
There's been a lot of developments over the last few years, I believe.
Yeah, there has, that's right. I mean, if you look at Tornos, with the portfolio that we have now, there's around 20 machines within the range. Of those 20, about 15 have been brought to market in the last 5 or 6 years. So yeah, big inward investment in new products.
Let's discuss those new developments then. So you have the DT range, the GT range. Can you explain the difference between the two and what's the USP for these ranges?
Yeah, I mean the DT is a 5-axis machine, 5 linear axis, 2 C-axis. The machine itself has equal spindle powers on the main and the sub-spindle, and on the 26mm version it's around 10 kilowatts, so very powerful, similar to what you'd see on a smaller fixed headstock machine. We have modular tooling, so driven tools can be moved from the main operations to counter operations, and we obviously have the bush to bushless running for non-guide bush or guide bush machining.
This is an entry-level machine, isn't it?
It is,
This model we're talking about. Some of the things that we looked at on this is the close proximity of the tooling to enable you to reduce the cycle times. Also, you've mentioned the power. Some of these features you don't often see on entry-level machines. Would that be right?
Yeah, I think that's right. It's a very comprehensive machine with a lot of capabilities.
Because 5 axes as well, the GT range goes up in axes end, does it?
It does, yeah. Yeah, the GT is a 7-axis machine with 2 C-axes. So,
but on this DT as well, the guide bush element, you can go from bushless to bush machining, can't you? Pretty quickly as well.
You know all about that, don't you? Maybe let's show your information on what you know.
Don't ask me what it is. It'd be interesting to know how many people do know the difference between a non-guide bush and a guide bush. But for those that don't, we'll explain it. Simply, a guide bush is where... Actually, do you know, I don't know the answer to that. I know.
Could you explain what non-guide bush to guide bush is?
Sure, I mean, it's quite simple, really.
Take some notes.
It's we have the ability to remove the guide bush and advance the headstock. So we can run shorter parts on a sliding headstock machine, and we can save on material, and we can save on tooling costs. So it's looking at those more exotic materials as an example, and mnemonic alloys and so on, where there's a big cost involved within the material. It enables us to save material if the part allows us to run bushless.
Right, and who are these machines aimed at?
It's really OEMs and subcontractors alike, really, you know, so we're seeing them going to a lot of different markets.
Do you think that bush to bushless, call it idea, is going to be embraced by engineers? Do you think they'll look at it and go, yeah, I could do with a machine, I can do that changeover quickly?
Yeah, I think with the new products we see, obviously with the spindle powers that we have, we're looking at maybe normally fixed headstock market being interested in it. But the sliding headstock concept can be sometimes quite concerning or unnerving. So to have that function to take the guide bush out, run it as a fixed headstock, it makes it more common and more familiar.
And there are a lot of people using this technology?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've got that really across a lot of the new product range now, and it's something that we'll obviously include in new products as they come out.
So the idea is that you can look at the fixed head market and attract users of fixed head machines that might be doing the types of parts that you can see being machined here into the DT or the GT range.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which opens up a massive opportunity for Tornos, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are you unique in offering the speed of changeover on the bush?
Certainly the way the machine is configured. There's no one else on the market at the moment that can do it in the way that we do it. So yeah, the speed that we can change between the two functions is very quick.
So from what you're saying as well, because earlier you said, it's only been the past few years where you've really invested in bringing out new machines. What would you say, why are you selling the machines? Why are they being so successful?
I think it's because there's been a very heavy customer focus, looking at what the market needs, what we can bring as additional benefits to the customers, and obviously help our customers to improve their outputs, become more efficient.
So the GT range then, David, what is the difference between this range of machines and the DT?
The main difference with the GT is that it's a 7-axis machine, 7 linear axis, 2 C-axis. It has more tooling capability in the main operations, more driven tool capability as well, and also we have a Y-axis in the sub-spindle, so it makes it a very flexible machine.
All those things sound great, but what do they actually give a user by having those extra features?
I think I said it really, it's flexibility. It enables a customer to know he's got the capability on the machine to really attack anything that comes through the door.
What's the bar capacity that these GT26s go up to? Is it 26 or do they go beyond?
The GT26 in its format is an inch capacity. We have a GT32 now, which is 32mm machine.
So you've got the 32 as well, above the 26.
Yeah.
You can see here the tool stations. Again, they look in pretty close proximity to each other. Is that one of the focuses for Tornos, to enable you to go from operation to operation very, very quickly, reducing that idle time essentially?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You need to have sufficient clearance for swarf, obviously, but equally you don't want to have big gaps between the tools to increase cycle time. So, yeah.
And with these three machines now, the DT and the GT26 and 32, does that cover the whole of the sort of sliding head market for you? Guys that, like you've said already, might be nervous about going into sliding head technology can opt for the D range, and ones that have already got it and want to get the best out of multi-axis, B-axis capabilities, the GT is perfect for them too. So you kind of ticked all the boxes.
Yeah, and it goes from 13mm right up to 32mm. So we have got a big range of machines there that can cope with a lot of requirement.
Let's move on to the multi-Swiss now. So 6 to 8 spindles, high power in the spindle. We're talking about high volume work. And a lot of us, including Paul yourself, that's where we see Tornos, but that's changed now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
For me, that was going back a long time ago. I'm going back probably 10 years, or probably longer than that. In fact, when I would have looked at Tornos, the first comments in my head would have been high volume production, multi-spindle machines. Things have changed in the last 2 decades, where you used to go into a machine shop and there was 10 Whitmans lined up, wasn't there, a load of cam autos, where the multi-spindle CNC technology has come into play, and that's where I always saw Tornos in the market. As I say, many, many years ago. I know a lot more about them now, and you're much more popular in the sliding head range as well. But that's a common misconception, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The history of Tornos is high volume. It's cam machines, it's multi-spindle machines, but with the introduction of the multi-Swiss product, it brings a new element to that kind of production. So,
do you feel that work's coming back? Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm not touching that work because it's going elsewhere." Is that high volume, high production coming back to the UK?
I think we see some coming back for sure. But what we've done with the multi-Swiss is to try and design a machine that is easily accessible, it's easily understandable by a single spindle setter. So you're not relying on someone that has multi-spindle knowledge already. And the way that we set the machine, it's a very quick machine to set, 4 to 6 hours to set the machine. So the volume side of it, you don't need to run hundreds of thousands of components anymore. You can run 10,000, 15,000.
This is like sliding head in a lot of ways, where the manufacturers of machine tools are trying to eliminate or reduce to the maximum the setup time, because that's your downtime. When that machine's not cutting metal, it's not making you money. So with the multi-spindles, the turn-offs on these machines was the very fact that it might take you between 12 and 18 hours, who knows, to set a machine up to run parts. Yeah. That's no good, is it? So people look at other options. But if you can get rid of that, which Tornos are doing, you're in a more favourable position to sell a machine of this nature that's got all the multi-axis function on it as well.
And there are a lot of companies out there with single spindle machines running a family of parts across 3, 4, 5 single spindle machines, whereas you can get the same output from the floor space of one single spindle machine and the same number of operators, or less operators. So, it does weigh up very well.
Coming back to my points about the popularity of, I'd like to know the popularity of this machine compared to your sliding head machines as a business. To talk, what's the split in what Tornos sell? Multi-spindle, sliding head? Are we talking 50-50? Are we talking 20% at 180?
No, I think we're still very much a single spindle manufacturer. the multi-spindle obviously has its marketplace. So we don't manufacture the same number of machines in multi-spindles. We do single for sure.
So you sell a lot more less of these than you do the sliding head technology.
Yeah.
So who in the UK is this machine aimed at?
It's subcontractors, it's OEMs, it's automotive, it's medical, it's various different applications.
And it might sound like a stupid question, and it probably is a stupid question, but when you've got a single spindle machine and then you've got 6 or 8, does it therefore mean that if you were making, for example, an adapter or something on a single spindle machine, and then you made the same part on the 6 spindles on here, you'd get 6 parts instead of 1?
No, that's not right. You would really look on a 6-spindle machine. You'd be looking at around 4 times the output from the machine as a.
So you're still getting 4 times, and the fact that nowadays with the multi-spindle technology, the setup time's less. There's an equation to be made there, isn't there? It can be attractive. This route can be attractive to more people nowadays than it would have been. Maybe.
Yeah, certainly, and equally with floor space. Floor space is an expensive commodity. So 4 times the output from the same floor space.
So you're almost saying you'd need to get 4 machines is going to take up more floor space than one of those.
Yeah.
So quite simply, you've got a connectivity pack. You put that into the machine. You then connect that from the machine to your internet. Your internet then connects to a tablet or a laptop or whatever. But what information is getting sent to the laptop and the user?
Okay, well, I mean, the Tysis software started off with a basic programming platform and program optimization, developing on from that the connectivity pack and so on. The information that we're getting sent out is really a real-time indication of the machine status. So if there's an alarm active on the machine, it can tell you, it can give you alarm history, it can give you things like the volume of output that you've made, how much time's left to run, that type of thing.
So say, for example, if an engineer is at home on a Thursday night, for example, running lights out, anything that's going on with that machine, they've got full access on their phone, their tablet, their laptop by using this software.
Yeah.
And if I was an engineer with Tornos machines, can I use this on all of my Tornos machines already, or is there a bit of a time limit in terms of history?
Yeah, I mean, it's really all of the new products that we've launched really since sort of 2011 onwards. We can use the Tysis software on.
Any more benefits to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, the software is constantly being developed, and year on year we'll increase its capabilities. We've got the Industry 4.0 side of Tysis, and it's really, again, it's aiming at the customer to try and give benefits to the customer to help them be more efficient and understand the production output.
A machine tool and the whole solution is about hardware and the machine and software, this being the software element. They've put a lot of focus on this, haven't they, Tornos, the software side. I'm not saying that they haven't with the hardware, with the machine tools, but equally they've paid as much attention to developing this product to make it easy for engineers as they possibly could. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that's right, because you can't just supply machines anymore. You've got to provide a solution. So this goes into that whole package of providing that solution.
And talking to one of the engineers that we'll go back, we'll look at the case study of shortly, they were talking about the predictions of cycle times and things like that that this software offers, and it was absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Which is integral to a quoting process. You know, if you're looking at the cycle time of a part or quoting for parts, you need to know how long it's going to take you to make them. It's no good some software telling you that it's going to be 20 seconds faster than it actually is it?
No.
You know, they're little features that are important with software like this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that case study now then.
CTPE, we visited here on behalf of Tornos. They bought the new DT26 machine. It's a video worth watching because they talk about the reasons they bought it. One of them was the production or the package that you supply with the machine to entry-level users, where it came with things like bar feed, tooling, made their purchasing decision easy, meant they didn't have to spend a lot of time speccing and scoping out the machine.
Yep.
They like the power on the spindles. They like the fact they can run with soluble coolants on this machine rather than neat cutting oils, because that suits everything that they're manufacturing and what they're manufacturing. They like the fact that the tools are in close proximity and they've got modularity, if that's the right word, is it? On the tools. So all of those reasons, plus the access, the competitive price of the machine were the reasons they opted for this machine. But it is a video definitely worth watching. And it just shows you how much of an impact you may have in this market now with this DT range.
Yeah.
Right, okay, to conclude, let's go back to the heart of the company and the micromechanics. Can we talk about some of the other products, your Almac and your Swiss Nano?
Yeah, the Swiss Nano, small sliding headstock machine for components under 4mm. So very, very
Tiny parts.
yeah, tiny parts. Yeah, tiny parts. Yeah, very comprehensive machine, very capable machine. The Almac products, we have the vertical machining centres, and we also have the bar milling capability with the BA machine. So.
And that's a really unique product, that BA machine.
It is,
the milling
yeah.
machine looks like the Swiss Nano, two machines that have a very distinctive look, which would be fair to say.
Yeah.
The Swiss Nano for the sort of watch industry, and then the Almac machine is, from a milling level, is completely different to what you'd expect on most milling machines.
Yeah.
They do the VMCs as well, don't they, Almac?
Yes, they do. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
David, what do you want to say to kind of conclude from Tornos?
I think really it's just come and see us, see what's new with Tornos, see the products, and make your choice. Yeah.
Certainly lots to see there now. And it's in Colville in Leicester.
In Leicester, yeah. Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks, David.
Welcome, Joe. Sorry, I've got bad news. We've only got 5 minutes with you guys.
Charming.
Sorry.
Good news.
Good news. Right, stories, the Bloom story. Now, you spoke to the quality manager, Steve Foster, at Padley and Venables. They're classed as the UK leading manufacturer of construction tools, but they've just recently invested in a cell. You've got Doosan's there, but they've also said they've found an increase in productivity of 30 to 40%. That's pretty good going.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised actually. It's a fully automated cell. There's pretty much no operators there at all. All they do is load the raw material on and the finished components off. And basically, we were taken up there by Bloom Nova Test, and they've got their Digilog on there, part of the process. And what the Digilog does, it tracks the components. So instead of probing it like a lot of other probes do, this Digilog will take measurements as it's being essentially dragged over the part. And it's not particularly accurate. Well, sorry, the Digilog's accurate, but the part, they're not chasing microns. But without having that, you'd need an operator. So then, the automation then kind of becomes pointless, really. But it's a fully automated cell, start to finish. It's brilliant, really good.
Oh, what is the part? What is it for?
It's something to do. I think you screw like a drill onto it for either mining or deep sea
and
exploration.
how many are they making? Because I looked at this.
Thousands and thousands and thousands, different lengths, diameters. And with the Digilog, you've got an upper and lower limit, on an SPC chart. And when it gets to, you can see it on there, when it gets to the upper limit, it sends a flag, but it doesn't stop the machine. But when it goes out of tolerance, it stops the machine. So it really is ultimate automation.
Is there much intervention? You got this guy here. Is
He's a quality manager. There's no operator there. They literally put the raw material in, similar to a bar feeder. And yeah, there's the finished components coming off, and the Digilog would run up and down that form, and measures the form and the diameter. It's good, very good.
It's not the most attractive of components, is it?
No,
it's a production part that needs automating. And
It makes some money. It makes some money. It doesn't matter.
And the part isn't complete until it's measured. So.
Next up, PRV Engineering. I don't know anything about this company, but what I do know is they've just recently purchased a Takumi.
Yeah, they're a huge engineering company based in Pontypool in South Wales. And the purpose of our visit was to look at some of the purchases they've made from Lead Precision Machine Tools over recent years, and up and coming, in fact. This is one of them, the Takumi H22S, which is a bridge-type high-speed machining centre. Simon bought it because of the capacity of the machine. It's got a big Y-axis on it. He also liked the construction, the fact that it's a very solid machine, and he also liked the speed, the fact that he got a 15,000 RPM spindle. He's going to be using it for machining aluminium. He's got a new contract with some large aluminium parts, although there's a piece of steel there on the machine at the moment. So this is his latest purchase.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing for me, was the 15K spindle. Quite often when you buy a machine of this size, there's a compromise on the speed. They tend to be big depths of cut, don't they? And hogging machines to remove material with a depth of cut rather than having a high-speed spindle. But it's quite interesting that. So is it been developed for aluminium, this machine, or is it just an add-on?
There are options with the spindle on this. So you can go for a lower speed spindle with a lot more torque or the 15,000. I believe you can even go for a faster spindle than the 15,000. Application driven, as with all these things. If you imagine a kind of a wing spar or something like that, where you need to shift a lot of aluminium, then this is an ideal machine for it, because you can get rid of the material quickly down the sides of the machine with a swarf extraction as well. It's also very open access. The doors get open for loading and getting in there and setting parts. It's a great machine.
It's the first Takumi I've seen of that size.
Well, we spoke about this, and actually I've seen quite a few Takumis in the field, but Simon did his research, interestingly, to see what the residual value of a Takumi was, how many are for sale in the marketplace, before he made his final decision to buy it, because he wanted to, see if there's loads of them for sale and they're not selling, they're not a popular machine, why they're not popular. But he couldn't really find many for sale, because they do stick around when they go into companies.
That's it for us, guys, because Colin has got a special treat for us.
MTD Network are at Titan in St Neots, Cambridge. Now they've just joined MTD Network and they've given us the opportunity to do a load of videos for them, so watch this space for those. But I've also got an exclusive, in fact I'd call it almost a world exclusive, but we'll come to that in a minute. Now Titan have got a great machine shop. They've got the DMG here, they've got a Doosan, got a load of Haas machines, both mills and lathes. They've also geared up so they can do 24/7 production. So they've got automatic pallet changers and the manual pallet changer from our friends at Mayland, plus a bar feed, which helps production keep it really efficient. But it's not just about the machine shop. They've got the design, the quality and assembly, so they can do the whole engineering production run. But back to our exclusive. Now we've all heard how Paul Jones tells us he was a top salesman in the machine tool industry, especially at DMG. We've always disputed that, but I've actually found evidence of it. The one and only machine he sold for DMG is right here.
For companies to grow, they really need to invest, and for manufacturing that often means buying capital-intensive equipment, which can be expensive. We're here at the Lloyds Bank Advanced Manufacturing Training Centre near Coventry to find out what Lloyds Bank is doing to help companies to make that investment. So David, we're here at the Manufacturing Technology Centre, part of the High Value Manufacturing Catapult, a place like the other 6 centres designed to help companies get from a sort of low research level into market with working products. And one of the things people have lamented about the dearth of manufacturing in the sort of middle between SMEs and big companies is the lack of skilled people to come in and do these jobs. But you're doing something about it. Well, what are you doing at the MTC?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Will. We recognise this as a major challenge for the industry, and one of the most common features as a restrainer of growth and taking advantage of new opportunities, and that is the lack of skills. So we committed a few years ago to sponsor around 1,000 trainees, apprentices and graduates here at the Advanced Manufacturing Training Centre with a £5 million investment over 5 years to support and try and support the issues that the sector faces into. I'm delighted to say that our first 36 high-value manufacturing apprentices went out into industry last September, and a number of those into SMEs across the country.
That's a great track record in such a short space of time, and you're funding that through until 2018, £1 million a year.
Yeah, that's correct, yes. So it's a £1 million a year sponsorship for 5 years with a view to supporting well over 1,000, as I say, apprentices, graduates and trainees out into manufacturing during that time.
Now Lloyds is a bank, among others, that are very active in manufacturing. You do a lot of work in there. You've got this £1 billion fund, I think, where you're committed to lend £1 billion worth of capital to businesses in the manufacturing sector in 1 year. Mm-hmm. What other areas are you doing specifically to help precision engineering companies and manufacturing businesses?
Well, I guess the lifeblood of any business is not just necessarily borrowing money to invest into capital equipment and machinery and plant, albeit that's an important part of progression and growth. Of course, the lifeblood of any business is their working capital. Understanding how that cash actually flows through that business and how they can benchmark themselves against their peers to understand and explore with their manager at Lloyds to see if there are different ways of managing their cash flow, which sometimes can actually mean that if we can help them understand how to release some of that cash, that can actually support growth without the need to actually borrow.
So it really isn't a loan form of capital release. It's about educating companies that have capital intrinsic in their company, how to release it. How does that work?
Absolutely right, Will. So there are a number of component parts of a company's working capital. So they'll have stock, they'll have raw materials, they'll have inventory, they'll have debtors and they'll have creditors. And how they manage those and the relationship between them can create or can absorb cash. And what we want to try and do is use the new tool that we've recently launched with the trained managers locally on the ground to be able to explore opportunities with companies about how to manage those different component parts of working capital differently and explore ways of releasing cash to give them the opportunity to grow.
Now, just down the road from the MTC, or a few miles down the road, is the Warwick Manufacturing Group. I think Lloyds Bank set up an initiative with WMG 2 or 3 years ago to educate your relationship managers a lot more about manufacturing. Is that correct, and how does it work?
It is absolutely correct, Will. So what we did a few years ago, one of the challenges that we had back from industry was that your managers don't understand the sector. So we wanted to do something about that. So whilst we've been looking after manufacturers for well over 250 years now, we were indeed actually founded by industrialists in the heart of Birmingham. We have developed an education program around manufacturing awareness. So our managers, in conjunction with the University of Warwick, supported by the Warwick Manufacturing Group, actually go on a week-long accreditation course and have to take a dissertation to demonstrate their understanding of manufacturing and the environment with which manufacturers operate in. So things like 5S, Lean, Six Sigma, Kanban, and techniques like that are all very familiar terminology, and it does help liven up a conversation when our managers are walking around local businesses and walking around the factory floor. It really does bring to life both the opportunities and the challenges that those small businesses face, helping us to shape and support those businesses with the opportunities that they face into.
So David, sometimes there's reluctance to borrow money to buy plant and equipment, partly because of the risk, but also the cost. That hasn't been such a big issue in recent years with low interest rates. But in terms of business reluctance to invest and expand, there are grants, incentives and schemes all around the country that can help businesses to make a borrowing decision. What do you think about the landscape for these initiatives?
Well, I think you're right there. Well, I know you're right. There are quite literally hundreds and hundreds of grant schemes and loan schemes available. I think the feedback from manufacturers to us on the ground quite frequently is we know there's support out there. However, there's so much we don't quite know what to go for, and therefore the landscape has just become so confusing. They're probably missing opportunities to take advantage of support that is there. So whether it be through the government schemes such as capital allowances or R&D tax credits, where we'd recommend that you go and talk to a tax advisor or your accountant to get some help and support there, or whether it be through some of the multitude of and the plethora of grants and initiatives through local enterprise partnerships. Either talk to your local manager on the ground who will probably be aware of some of the more familiar ones that they can steer you towards, or just approach the local enterprise partnership directly. They will have a detailed understanding of what is available in their local communities, in their local areas. And if you don't know who to talk to your manager and or talk to the team at Lloyds, and we'll be delighted to connect anyone into their local enterprise partnership to find out more. It's a shame when there is so much support there to miss out on the opportunity just because of a confusing landscape.
Well, David Atkinson from Lloyds Bank, lots of opportunities to borrow, schemes, grants and other supporting mechanisms. They're all out there. Lloyds Bank can help you navigate those, and so can the LEPs, the local enterprise partnerships, and Lloyds is certainly doing plenty for manufacturing.
What a show. Now, to watch previous episodes, click on the links on the screen. Make sure you're sending those comments in, and as always, keep those spindles turning.